Chapter 9. Mary. People always ask us if we have a system for running our family, especially for raising our kids. Every time we seem to get some sort of system in place, things change. We move, we change jobs, our kids grow up, and the whole thing reinvents itself. One of the biggest challenges we faced in figuring out how polygamy would work for us was learning how each wife would maintain her own autonomy while being an important part of the family. When Janelle and Cody first married, the three of us shared a bank account. It wasn't long before we learned that this wasn't an ideal situation. For anyone, money is a tricky subject. Our situation was particularly delicate since we were all new to polygamy. Our joint bank account was definitely a big part of the struggles we had as a new plural family. When it was just Cody and me, we shared a bank account. All purchases came out of this account, and we paid all the bills from this account. Since it was just the two of us, it was easy to know what we needed and what finances we had available to us. It was comfortable for the two of us to both use the same account. We would talk about what bills needed to be paid and what purchases we wanted to make, either individually or as a household. Although we both had access to the account and Cody took some part in it, I usually paid the bills each month. When Janelle came into the family, we added her to the bank account. I don't think any of us really thought about how this would affect us as a whole. Even back then, we would all discuss what the income was each month and what needed to be paid. We worked out a budget for the family, including a grocery budget, a budget for the bills, and our own personal spending budget. We were young and new in our jobs and careers, so there wasn't usually an abundance of spending money. We'd have to save up if we wanted something special. Cody was in sales, so there were times when he would have a particularly good month and we could put that extra money into either paying down a bill or towards something we had been saving for. While the three of us always discussed where the money would go each month, I was still usually the one who actually paid the bills and divided up the budget. At the time, I saw no problem in this, only to realize later that Janelle felt that I was controlling the finances. In my mind, since we had all discussed it as a family, I was only executing the decision that the three of us had already made. I realize now how detrimental that has been to my relationship with Janelle. Looking back, I don't remember when we actually decided to get our own bank accounts. I can only assume that one or all of us discovered that having only the one account didn't give each of us, including Cody, our own autonomy, which is very important in a family structure like ours. When we got our own bank accounts, Janelle and I were able to start creating our own autonomy. We didn't have to check in with each other about our spending. We didn't have to be concerned about whether the other would disapprove of a particular purchase. We could handle our financial affairs as we liked and feel that we were individuals who contributed to the same family. Ever since we made this decision, Janelle and I, and subsequently the other sister wives, have kept our finances separate. As our family has grown, the way we handle our finances continues to evolve. The most effective way we have found to manage our money thus far is for each of us to take ownership of certain family bills, whether it's the mortgage, the cell phone bill, or a car payment. Even though the bills we pay may not be technically in our own name, we divide them based on each person's income level. Having a large family as we do, there are often major expenses. There have been times for each of us when we needed help from the family as a group to take care of a certain issue. Usually, if a wife needs help with something, she will talk to Cody about it. Many times, Cody's help is all that's needed. There have been times, however, when he will go to another wife, or wives, to see who is financially able to pool resources and get a particularly tight financial situation taken care of. I remember one time, years ago, when the transmission went out in my car. We all knew it was important to have a working vehicle, so we pulled together to get it taken care of. Most of his married life, Cody has been a salesman. As most people know, in this line of work, you can have very good months or very bad months. When he has months that are not so good, we all contribute to get the mortgage paid. On the other hand, when he has a good month and ends up with some unexpected cash in his wallet, we can either play catch-up from the bad months, or he has been known to use some of it for something fun, maybe a special trip with a wife and their kids. Our first commitment is always to the family. However, as the kids have grown older and we've moved into separate households, we've begun to live a little more independently from one another. We look after our own kids, our own homes, and take care of our business in our own way. But this wasn't always the case. When our oldest kids were young, Janelle worked full-time and Christine worked part-time. So for the majority of the day, I was a stay-at-home mom. In a lot of areas, I'm a lot more particular about certain things than my sister wives are. I tend to like a little more order and quiet, and I have clear ideas about when and how to discipline the kids. I really struggle when I see the kids being disrespectful to their parents. It has always been very important to me that our children grow up with a strong sense of respect for both people and things. When the kids were young, I tried very hard to instill this in them. I wanted them to respect one another by playing nicely together and getting along. I wanted them to respect their parents by being obedient and not talking back when asked to do something. When I see one of our children do this, it sure gets my Irish up. I also think it's necessary for children to respect things. This could be each other's toys, their private space, and yes, this could also be furniture. I'm the type of mom who doesn't allow jumping on furniture. I know I've not always been looked too highly upon by some of my sister wives because this makes me seem too strict, but my furniture has definitely outlived some of theirs. I remember a time, years ago, when Cody was sort of getting after me because he didn't want the kids to feel like they were walking into a museum when they came to my house. I think, however, that he has mellowed somewhat about that opinion, as he has seen my household furniture last longer than that of my sister wives. Over the years, I have also learned to relax when it comes to the way the kids act in my home. While I still expect them to treat me and my space with respect, and not act like wild animals running through the house, I have become more patient when they do. Back when I took charge of most of the daycare in our family, I was comfortable disciplining all the children, whether Christine's, Janelle's, or mine. Of course, this was easier when the kids were small and their transgressions were fairly innocent. After all, I was the only mother home with anywhere between 4 and 9 kids, depending on the year. If I hadn't felt comfortable disciplining them, the house would have been utter chaos. Years ago, when we lived in northern Wyoming, when Janelle worked full-time and Christine and I were each working part-time, we adjusted our schedules so that one of us would be home with the kids at all times. This was a particularly good time for our family. We had discovered that it was best for the 3 of us wives to have our own homes, so we all gained a bit more autonomy and freedom, and could raise our children as we wished. While we all have the same basic goals and expectations for our children, we have a different way of handling our home life and structure. Having our own homes allowed us to interact with our own children comfortably and freely, without having to worry about if another mom was questioning the way something was being handled. Christine and I had our homes on 2.5 acres out in the country, and Janelle had purchased a home in town, about 15 minutes away. She brought her kids over to our house every day while she worked, so the kids were together all the time. They were one another's best friends. They were constantly building, playing, and creating in our yard. There was so much space to run and play. They created Kids Town, which consisted of old blankets, boards, and lumber, anything they could find to make stores, post offices, and houses. They spent many hours in Kids Town. Since Christine and I lived so close together, we could pop back and forth between our houses with little effort. All the kids knew they were welcome in either home at any time. It was an unwritten rule that whichever mom was at home with the kids could use her best judgment on the discipline needed for individual situations. We were all pretty comfortable with this, but occasionally we disagreed. In one instance, I was at work and Mariah needed to be disciplined, so Christine handled it. When I heard about it later, I was fine with the fact that Christine addressed the problem, but disagreed with the way she punished her. I felt it was inappropriate and a little extreme. We discussed the issue, and while she might disagree with my opinions on discipline, she was very respectful of my feelings. Mariah is 16 now, so discipline is somewhat a thing of the past in my house. When the kids were younger, and I had a more active role in their day-to-day parenting, I would choose a punishment to fit the situation. If a child hit another child with a toy, he didn't get to play with that toy anymore. If a child didn't clean up his or her room, he or she didn't get to play outside with the other kids until it was done. I never disciplined the kids if I didn't think they could understand how to correct their behavior. As the kids have grown older, however, I've taken a back seat in affairs that don't concern my own child directly. I realize that my sister wives and I have different ideas about what is a punishable offense and what isn't. I also realize that the other moms need the space and freedom to do their own thing in their own way. Of course, I can't always ignore it when the kids do something wrong. As recently as this summer, I felt I had to step in and correct a situation that had gone on too long and needed to change. Ever since Robin joined the family, we've been dealing with the typical blended family scenario. Several of Christine and Janelle's kids hadn't been acting like they wanted to accept Robin as a parent or accept her kids as their siblings. I understand that this is a problem many other families face, yet I know it is still difficult on the kids. Several of the adults began to notice that some of the younger teenage boys were picking on Robin's little girls. Now this could have just been seen as Big Brother's typical treatment of little sisters, but I think if it's bothering the girls, it shouldn't be allowed to continue. It had gone on too long and, in my opinion, nothing was being done to change it. On a camping trip, Things became too aggressive for me to brush aside any longer. A few of the boys were picking on one of the little girls and making her cry. I had enough of it. I got after the kids, telling them they'd better shape up and start treating one another with more respect. I told them that Robin's kids are their siblings whether they like it or not, and they better start treating them like it. As I was speaking, I noticed that Janelle and Christine just stood there and didn't say anything to back me up. I felt betrayed by their lack of support. I feel strongly that the adults in the family must show a united front to the children so they know we are all in this together and will support one another's decisions. I think it is very detrimental to let children think they can play one parent against another. But not all the wives feel this way. In fact, later on, Christine told me she thought I was completely out of line for speaking my mind at the moment. My form of parenting is to take care of things immediately when the transgression is fresh in the children's minds, so they can understand why they are being disciplined. Therefore, I jumped in when I did and talked to the kids about their behavior. Christine would have preferred to wait until later and talk to the kids individually. I'm sure there are pros and cons for each approach. This was just one of those times where we needed to remember to be patient and forgiving with each other. Deep down, we're all working toward the same goal, a happy, healthy, and orderly family. Obviously, as our children have grown up, one of the major questions in our household has to do with dating. When the kids were little, the adults always said that they would be allowed to date at 16. But now that this time has come for many of the kids, we parents have realized that things are not so black and white. We often don't agree with the children or with one another on what constitutes a date. Is it a group of kids hanging out together? When two kids are hanging out one-on-one? Or just when there's a romantic interest involved? I feel that some of our kids are mature enough to handle themselves on a date, while others might take a few more liberties than I would prefer. We have to figure out a fair way to permit one child to do something another one cannot, something that is difficult for any parent, with children of any age. As far as dating goes, I stand by my opinion that the kids should be at least 16. I don't think dating is necessary any younger than that. It just sets them up for mistakes or heartbreak. Before 16, kids don't have the fortitude to deal with emotional and romantic situations. As far as kissing, I think young people should really hold off until they find someone very special, at an older and much more mature age. Kissing can lead to things that teenagers shouldn't get into, and definitely don't have the maturity to handle. I'm in a fortunate position with Mariah when it comes to dating. While she has shown interest in young men and looks forward to dating in the future, she is committed to remaining in our faith and living our plural lifestyle. With this belief comes her commitment to remaining virtuous and chaste until marriage. She holds high expectations and standards for herself concerning dating, kissing, and intimacy, and she has every intention of living up to them. She plans to finish high school, go on to college, and work toward her dream of becoming a doctor, and has said many times that she does not intend to get married until she's through at least a few years of college. I look forward to seeing her achieve those dreams. I expect she'll have her share of dating and heartbreak before she finds her soulmate, but I also know how stubborn she can be, and that she will live up to her own high standards. Cody and I have talked many times about her passion and commitment to our faith and are very proud of the path she is pursuing. In a lot of ways, I feel as if I have it easier with her choices than some of my sister wives have with their children. I have been absolutely blessed with her, in so many ways. Mariah and I have always had a special bond. Obviously, we are in a unique position because our household is quite small. On the evenings when Cody isn't around, it's just the two of us. However, Mariah loves being part of our very large family. She often tells me the best thing about polygamy is not being an only child, which she would be if it wasn't for our plural lifestyle. While her commitment to our faith is based on something deeply spiritual, I know that having lots of siblings and many loving parents is definitely a draw to the lifestyle. She doesn't always like being alone, and she doesn't like it too quiet, so our family fits her well. Since we moved to Las Vegas and we're in different homes so far apart from each other, we don't have the constant interaction with the rest of the family that we used to in Utah. Mariah and I definitely have different eating habits than the rest of the family, and now we're able to cater to our tastes more often. When we lived in Utah, I would buy more kid-friendly foods, knowing that very often I'd have a child or two extra at mealtimes. That doesn't happen quite as often now, so when the other kids come over and try to find something to eat, it's not too much fun for them. Mariah and I like to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, or things that need to be prepared, like salads or fish or chicken. Since there are only two of us to feed, we don't participate in the big family grocery trips with Janelle and Christine. There's no point in us buying perishable foods in bulk, and I don't have a lot of prepared foods in my cupboards, It even gets frustrating for Cody when he's home that he can't look in the cupboard or the fridge and grab something really quick. What age is it that you turn into your mom? I remember many times looking in my mom's full refrigerator thinking there was nothing to eat. I think Cody feels like that at my house now. I'm pretty particular about what I like, so I haven't always had the best results when I've asked my sister wives to pick up groceries for me. I forget when I give them a list that I need to be very specific. I like my bananas a certain color, and I like certain kinds of lettuce. I forget that their versions of bananas or lettuce can be very different. It usually just makes more sense for me to shop on my own. I tend to make more frequent shopping trips, but buy less stuff than my sister wives. With only one child to feed, I have a lot more freedom and leisure at mealtimes, especially on nights Mariah decides to eat with some of her siblings, which can be frequent. Anytime any of our kids are over at another house at mealtime, it's just a given that the child can stay for the meal. I know all of us moms have an open door policy for meals or anything else when it comes to the children in our family. Robin and her kids have joined us for dinner at my house often. There's no rhyme or reason to when this happens, it's just an impromptu event. Sometimes after she's been over for a while, we'll realize that we've lost track of time. Robin's daughter Aurora really likes to cook and is often the one who asks if they can eat over, and can she be the one to make pancakes for dinner. These evenings with Robin have happened with and without Cody present, and I enjoy both ways equally. These bonding moments are important to me, especially now that we all live so separately in Las Vegas. Back in Utah, in the big house, it was easy to interact with one another. There was a little more spontaneity. Now every family gathering needs to be planned in advance. We have family dinner every Friday, but with some of the teenagers having driver's licenses now, and all of them having friends and other activities, there's usually at least a kid or two missing from dinner. In addition, we have lunch together on Sunday afternoons. Whenever we have a family meal, every wife contributes something to help feed the family, unless the meal is a birthday party. In that event, the mother of the birthday boy or girl takes care of the preparations. Despite the distance between our houses, especially mine, the kids have as much freedom as they like to come and go as they please. Mariah has her driver's license now, and my old car, so she has a lot of freedom to see her siblings pretty much whenever she wants. She spends almost all of her free time with Aspen, Christine's oldest child, and Madison, Janelle's oldest daughter. Those three girls were all born within 3 or 4 months of one another, and have always been very close. Of course, they still have the typical sibling rivalry that most teenage girls deal with, but they always come back to the fact that they are sisters and love one another, and love hanging out with one another. It's been fun watching them grow up so close. Both Janelle and I have pools at our houses in Las Vegas, but Janelle's pool is more popular than mine because it's a little bigger and within walking distance of the other moms' houses. During the summer, the older kids tended to congregate at Janelle's house, while the little kids came and swam at mine. While I love having the younger children over, the teenagers just don't hang out at my house enough. I miss that. In Utah, my part of the house was central in the home, so it was easy for the kids to just walk through the doorway and be in my house. It was definitely a more quiet part of the house, and the teenagers seemed to congregate there often. Because I only have one child, my house has always been the quietest of all our homes. Certain kids are drawn to this quiet and, ultimately, to me and what I can offer them. Because I don't have all the extra responsibility and work that comes with having many small children, I can be focused on a child when he or she is in my home. I'm able to offer stability and structure to the kids, whether in the form of calm conversation or a quiet place to do their homework. Over the years, I've formed an especially close bond with Christine's daughter, Isabel. She and I just sort of click. There's something natural about our relationship. She loves to hang out with me, and when she's being particularly needy, Christine loves for her to hang out with me too. Isabel is really precocious and fun, but at age 8, she can be a handful. With 5 other children, Christine sometimes doesn't have patience for Isabel. I really like the fact that I can be there to handle Isabel when Christine is feeling overwhelmed with her. Christine will joke from time to time that Isabel should come live with me since she loves being at my house so much. Half the time, I'm not sure that she's joking. In the years since I first met Robin and her kids, I've also developed a close relationship with her oldest son, Dayton. He and I have a fun, quirky relationship. I think the initial bond for us was that we share a birthday. One of Cody's traditions for all his kids' birthdays is to take that child and his or her mom out for a special birthday date. This could be anything from shopping for new clothes to going to dinner and a movie. Since Dayton and I share a birthday, he gets a special birthday bonus. He and I will go out and do something, just the two of us. It's something I can do for him that helps to build and cement our relationship. My bond with Dayton and all of Robin's kids has definitely been an added bonus in the relationship Robin and I already have. In fact, when I found out Robin was pregnant, it was easy to quickly form a bond with her unborn child. Early in her pregnancy, I told her that we were going to need to get some baby things at my house too, since I was sure that her baby would be spending plenty of time there. She agreed and seemed to like the connection I was forging with her baby. In fact, at her baby shower, she got duplicates of one of the gifts, a baby bouncer seat, and instead of returning one and getting something else she needed, she left one of them at my house to use when her baby is here. I also did a little shopping and got a few little baby boy outfits for him to use while at my house. I was very excited and looked forward to when Solomon would finally be born. Now that he's here, I get together with her often so I can see him and hold him and form a lifetime bond. I love being part of such a large and dynamic family. There is always something going on with our kids. Graduations, sporting events, performances. My sister wives and I are constantly calling or texting one another, keeping everyone aware of all the events in the family. Keeping up with our schedule alone can be a full-time job. While the whole family doesn't usually get to every event, we do our best to make sure there is at least some of the family in attendance. I try to get to the kids' activities as often as I can, like Hunter's football games. Even though I understand very little about the game, it's fun being there and supporting him from the bleachers. Unfortunately, this last season, I only made it to one of Hunter's games. Mariah and some of the other kids, however, attended many more of them. It's so fun to watch the closeness between the kids and how they support one another in their sporting events and activities. It has especially been exciting to see the evolution of the kids over this first year in Las Vegas, from some of them being so upset and sad about our move to where they are now, being involved with new friends, teams, and activities. Unfortunately, with such a large family, one of the problems is that not every event has a large show of family support. At one of Mariah's recent school choir concerts, Cody and I were the only family members in attendance. I wish that more of our family had been there to show their support. But I understand that there's always something going on, whether it's another event, errands to run, or a mom just needing to take a little break and not go anywhere that particular day. Since we've moved to Las Vegas, our lives have become busier than ever. I really wish the 5 of us adults had a chance to get together socially more often, but it just doesn't seem possible more than once a month. Oh, we spend a lot of time together when the kids are in school, at least twice weekly, but those times are business and organizational meetings. When we do have the chance to break away, we sometimes have had to make a conscious effort to not talk business, but to just enjoy one another's company. Whenever the adults try to get together, my sister wives have to figure out whether their older kids are willing and available to watch the younger ones. I have to say though, having just one 16-year-old, it's kind of nice to not have to worry about babysitters or homework anymore. Mariah doesn't have to miss out on the experience of babysitting her siblings though. She is often over at Robin's house, helping out with her kids, and is happy to do it. Another thing we try to do fairly often as wives is go out to lunch and reconnect every once in a while. Since we've been in Las Vegas and we live so separately and our lives have become so busy, meeting like this is a nice break. We do this while the kids are in school, and hopefully while we're away, Cody is also taking the time away from wives and family to renew his own energy. He puts so much out to all of us that it's important for him to have some rejuvenating time as well. Absolutely too soon, Mariah is going to move out of the house. She'll graduate from high school in 2013, and she is determined and excited to go back to Utah for college. While I'll be sad to see her go, I understand her wanting to return to Utah and get reacquainted with our church community. I'm proud of the commitment she has to her faith and her desire to return to it, in spite of having to leave her family. She is very excited and looks forward to going back to the friends she left when we moved here a year ago. I've heard that when people become empty nesters, they have to figure out who they are again. This is kind of how I'm feeling right now. I think in particular, I'll have to figure out what my place is in the family again. It will be a new chapter in my life and my evolution as a sister wife, and it will be interesting to see how it all plays out. Whenever I talk to Robin about this, she is so cute. "You still have kids, Mary. You still have kids," she insists. She's right, I know I do, but it's different from actually having them in my home full time and having that constant influence over them. I'm at a major fork in the road of my life right now, with some major decisions to make, and so far, I have no idea which path I will take. On my list of possibilities, these 3 stand out. I can continue my schooling and work toward my dream of becoming a counselor working with at-risk youth. I have the chance to pursue one of our family businesses by doing some humanitarian work and traveling with friends and family to new places I've never been before. The third possibility wouldn't be possible if I didn't have sister wives. Over the last couple years, I have been blessed to experience the true love that 2 sister wives can share. Robin has shown me this many times, most recently after the birth of her son. knowing that I have often dreamed of having more children of my own, and knowing that my body is very resistant to the idea. She pulled me aside, and with only the love that a sister wife could give or understand, she offered to carry a child for Cody and me. This would mean becoming a mother again in a way I never would have thought possible. All three are amazing opportunities that no doubt will fulfill my life in a way I probably never could have imagined. I don't think any of my options are right or wrong for me. They're just choices with different and amazing outcomes. As I continue to live my life, loving every moment I have with Mariah until she moves on to college and her adult life, I will do the best I can for myself and my family in the role that I am in, and I will work toward writing the newest, upcoming chapter in the book of my life. I look forward to my future with hope and anticipation, fully expecting life to bring me all the happiness and fulfillment that I've had in the past, and then some. I have no doubt that it will be a truly amazing chapter.